This story is going to be going back in time quite a few years. I'm going to show you all a picture. You see it now. It's me and my mom back from the summer of 1992. This was quite literally the day the circus came to town. The county expo was hosting a circus, and so we went to go see it. Now, I don't know how much you can decipher from the picture, but I'm not having a very good afternoon. Why? Because I was being pulled out of my routine. And what you see is my mom probably, just judging by the look on her face, probably telling me to knock it off because I was probably carrying on about the fact that I was being pulled away from my routine. And here's why. This goes back a year before that. So we're talking early August of 1991 when I was 11 years old. And this was a day where I had mowed the grass. And if memory serves me correctly, it was a Monday. And so, at least the memory feels like a Monday to me. So it probably would have been like the 5th or the 12th of that month. And got done mowing the grass, came inside, and did my afternoon routine back then, which was to basically plop down in front of the TV and watch the Disney Afternoon. Now, the Disney Afternoon, if you don't know what that was, it was the 2-hour block of cartoons that aired in the afternoon on weekdays, and they rotated shows through as they cycled things through. They'd introduce a new show, it would push everything forward, and an old show would be canceled out. And so the very first season lineup was at 3 p.m. I'd turn on Channel 26, WGB out of Green Bay, WGBA out of Green Bay. Turn it on, 3 p.m. It was Gummy Bears, 3:30 DuckTales, 4 p.m. Rescue Rangers, and 4:30 was Tailspin. Now, I really got into DuckTales and Rescue Rangers. And so on this particular afternoon, the episode of Rescue Rangers was titled See or No Evil. And so basically, to summarize this episode, it's, your typical Rescue Rangers episode. They're at the carnival riding around, at rides, and sure enough, they happen upon no good. In this case, a bunch of carnies are, robbing people in the night because he has this monkey that kind of, fits into this bear suit, from this red game, and then he goes through and he robs people. But what really caught my attention in this particular episode was the very end of the first act. At the very end of the first act, Chip gets flung out of a window, and he's fallen to his death. Cue to commercial. Now, for whatever reason, that particular episode kind of really stuck with me. I remember sitting, on the edge of the bed, just kind of like, because for me, that was high entertainment there. That was high quality TV. Watching Chip from Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers fall out a window. So, the next summer came around, and my afternoon kick was to watch the Disney Afternoon again, because that moment had such, that moment of, that 10 seconds of TV, had such a profound impact on me that I actually wanted to recreate it the next summer when that episode aired again. For 1 second here, I'm going to pause, and I'm just going to clarify something. When I talk about recreating the moment from the year previous, what I'm doing is I'm actually recreating everything about that moment, including my surroundings, which meant that I had to be, in the exact spot on my dad's bed, because I was watching this in his bedroom on his TV. The light was on above me. Every little detail about that moment had to be exact, because that's what I was going for, was total duplication of that moment. And so it became my afternoon routine to actually sit down and watch and try and hope, that this was the episode so that, I could see this again. And so on this particular day, we had to go to, we went to the circus, and the circus started at 2:30. Now, you can see where this was going. I just remember really, really being on the verge that whole afternoon of just losing it, because I was afraid that I wasn't going to get back in time for 4 p.m. to see Rescue Rangers, and possibly miss reliving this moment in my life, or recreating this moment in my life that happened a year earlier. Well, fortunately for that particular day, circus was only about, I want to say it was like only about an hour and 15. And so we got home, with just enough time to spare. And fortunately for me that day, that particular episode of Rescue Rangers that they aired was this one, which was the episode where it was actually the first episode where they introduced the Ranger Wing, and they went halfway around the world, and they saved Chirp's son, his little bird, from having his Emperor go insane because of all the crap that his sister was doing to him. And so that was the episode that they aired that day. And so I do remember, a short time later, that episode that I was wanting to experience actually did air, and I was able to successfully recreate that moment in time. And as I recall, a year later, for whatever reason, it just didn't have the same feel as it did the year before. I think maybe because the spontaneity had been lost. But for whatever the case, that was, it was just one moment of one story in my life I'd like to share for y'all. Again, I like to ramble on and on. I like to keep these short, so I'm just going to stop now and say thanks for watching, and I'll have another video up sometime pretty shortly.